So I think so. We're now recording. This is us in recording mode. Hello and welcome to the recording.
And we're not allowed to talk about everything we have just talked about.
No. I mean, what percentage of what we just talked about probably, like, even if we had recorded it, would have made the cut?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, because if you want to hear that recording, just go to Scott's OnlyFans page.
Yeah, actually, yeah. If you go to Scott's OnlyFans page, you'll find all of the secret recordings there that Scott does. So that's where you'll find everything that doesn't make the cut, or that doesn't make the cut episode. It's all in Scott's recordings.
Yeah.
So that so I now know your moniker then, Tom.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's you then, is it? You know,
yeah. I hate rats.
Foxy MP of Stowmarket, is that you?
How did we come to the agreement that Scott was the future MP for Stowmarket? Where did that come from?
I'm not. That's Tom. Tom is the future
MP for Stowmarket. Sorry.
Because of his picture, his official, picture in absentia.
The parliamentary photo, yeah, that was it.
Exactly.
And you're town drunk, aren't you?
Sometimes I'm working up to that, so yeah. And you're the supply teacher.
Yeah.
We agreed that.
That seems right. Let's watch Planet Earth. Roll out the telly.
Did he slap those?
You know.
Cue intro.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to New Dice Please, the bite-sized Blood Bowl podcast, brought to you by the people at Bloodbowl Live. Possibly the most chaotic intro into that I've done so far. My name is Chris. I am joined by Mr. Scott Bryant. Scott, pick a number between 1 and 30.
29.
And we are joined by Mr. Tom Hovel. Tom, a number between 1 and 30?
7.
7. I'm going to go with 23. Scott, you were the highest. You're the winner. Well done. This week we are talking about whether we're going to give you full-on money expert level consumer advice this week, and we are going to discuss one of the things that every Blood Bowl fan loves to discuss when they're not playing Blood Bowl is whether it is actually any value for money. We're going to have a look at some of the stuff that you can buy from GW and possibly elsewhere, and we're going to talk about kind of how much that stuff is actually, is it worth the cost? Is it worth the effort? Do you use any of it? We've, between the three of us, got probably most of at least one example of different kind of products and stuff. I'm looking at my shelves behind my screen at various things that I've bought, and we're going to kind of go through them and see which ones you should buy and which ones you shouldn't bother. Whichever ones you should or shouldn't buy, head down to your friendly local gaming store. There's one in Woodbridge. It's great. It's called Aardvarks and Dragons. Go spend your money there. So, Tom, you're our master man of lists. What kind of things can we buy? And we'll decide whether we should.
So, I've got 8 options.
Cool.
And a bonus pointless piece, which I've just thought of and put into the list to spice things up at the end. So, the first one on the list is the different game styles. So the fact is that we play Blood Bowl, we love Blood Bowl, but you've obviously got other ones. You've got Dungeon Bowl, Gutter Bowl, Death Match, Sevens. And I suppose, are they worth it? Do you play them? Or do they, like mine up here, slowly gathering dust? For example, Gutter Bowl, I played 3 times when it first came out, and not at all since.
Just to clarify there, Tom, is that because it's not a very good accessory game system, or have you just got no friends and you can only play with yourself so many times? Just to put that out there.
Thanks.
Jesus.
I
did it for Tom Huns.
It is actually a good game. But it is that fact that not a lot of people play it because they all dedicate their time and kind of knowledge and experience to the actual Blood Bowl game itself. It's a bit like with Dungeon Bowl as well. I've never played Dungeon Bowl. I don't even own Dungeon Bowl, but I've heard lots of people saying, "Oh, I'd love to have a go at it," but there's the time element, isn't there? It's like,
so yeah, Dungeon Bowl is an interesting one. I've played it a couple of times. The good thing about Dungeon Bowl is within the rule set, within the individual rule set that you get with the game. It says that basically it is the first to score or closest to their end zone after an hour. But I think it does require a little bit more setup. But it's kind of it's a bit like Sevens in that you can kind of hash a game out in a small period of time. I've not really given it the time I think it needs because it is a bit different and it is quite fun, and there's lots of chaos in there with the portals and things like that you can do. And I really like the colleges because there's a particular college, I think it's the College of Heavens, I want to call it. That might sound right. That might be completely wrong. My books are all hidden behind there, so I can't grab it, which is basically made up of humans and lizards, which are two of my teams that I like to play. So the idea of playing a team combined of those two sounds really fun. So yeah, I feel like Dungeon Bowl is worth it if you and maybe I think having more leagues and maybe more like competitions that are just Dungeon Bowl would kind of be a bit more fun. I guess the tricky thing is you're unlikely, if you want to have a team that's not out of the Dungeon Bowl box that you want to play just for Dungeon Bowl, you either need a way of making it very clear that you'll possibly different paint schemes between your teams that you own already are all playing together, or you need to buy kind of mismatched teams to make one. Because, for example, out of the box, you get like teams to make one that's combines of dwarfs and ogres and stuff, and that's great fun. If you want the College of Heavens, you need to buy a human team and a lizard team and pick whichever players between them you want. So that's a bit,
and an Amazon team by the looks of things.
Amazons were added, yeah, when they were released. So does that then make it worth the money? Because if you want to play a particular team, you've possibly got to buy 3 separate teams to kind of mash them together, or clearly mark your bases in some way that knows they're combined.
And Norse as well.
Oh, are they also College of Heavens?
Yeah, so in College of Heavens, you've got lizards, Norse, Amazons, nobility, and human.
I mean, you could make a great team out of that. It's phenomenal. So I think Dungeon Bowl should be given more time.
Nope.
No.
110 quid, and it's out of production anyway. Just a look on the GW website, because I bring it when people want it. You know, I'm news. I'm at the cutting edge. I'm looking on the website already. 110 quid for that? No, sorry. Just, you know, you buy your normal 110 quid. Sorry, £100 at the moment for Blood Bowl Edition 2. You get your 2 full teams. You get your rules. You get your pitch. Well, it's not the best pitch, but it's a pitch and dugouts. And you get all your templates as well. And then you can play sevens from that. So you get 2 games for the price of 1. So value for money.
Can I twist your arm though a little bit? So as a fellow Skaven coach, right? The box set for Dungeon Bowl does come with a Skaven sprue because it's part of the Dark Elf team. Comes with a single Skaven sprue, a single Dark Elf sprue, a single Dwarf sprue, a single Ogre sprue, and with the Ogres, and I think with the Dwarfs, and with the Skaven team, I don't know about the Dark Elf team as much. All of them, it is handy to you basically need 1 additional sprue minimum with all of them to be able to make the team actually decent. So if you buy it and you kind of commit to playing a bit of Dungeon Bowl, it may also enhance your other teams.
But you've got to buy and assume they are a component piece that you need for the boxes that you've already bought, which you haven't got enough players to make a good team roster, because Curse you, Games Workshop, you money-making capitalists that you are. Anyway, yeah, that's just, yeah. So save time, Gutter Bowl for me. No, I'd rather spend the money. I'd rather buy. I spend less money on the full edition to get 2 full teams.
So Gutter Bowl, because Dungeon Bowl are behind. Gutter Bowl, I think they've missed a trick on. Because it's cheaper. Gutter Bowl is only sort of 20 something pound, I think, £25, something like that.
It's out of production. It's not coming back, I don't think.
So the thing I liked about Gutter Bowl is the gameplay itself is a bit kind of nonsense, a bit ridiculous. Clearly benefits the quicker teams. Like Skaven are brilliant in it because of the channels and stuff, and the fact that you could run down a channel and not be caught. Like it does kind of favor quicker teams. I think the trick that's missed with it is encouraging Blood Bowl seasons to introduce something that allows for a Gutter Bowl element, because I think it would be quite fun if, let's say, in a Blood Bowl season you had one time that you could basically challenge a team that you had just beaten or just lost to a street grudge match, which you use Gutter Bowl rules for, and if you get SPP in that, you can take it into the main season, and maybe you can do it once as a bit like narratively. That's quite fun. Like you lose a group game, you lose a group game, they kill your gutter runner, so you challenge them to take it to the streets, and then you beat the crap out of them in the streets, and you get some of that skill, and then you go back into the season. There's something narratively fun about that I think could be entertaining, and it's a lot cheaper.
No, honestly, Gutter Bowl and both games really. Whether you're looking at Gutter Bowl there, whether you're looking at Dungeon Bowl, to me they feel like Disney Acolyte for Games Workshop. There's no need. You don't have to tell me about the Clone Wars, guys. I know about the mystery and the fact that I have an imagination, and I don't have to have everything on a silver plate with a bow on top. Leave me to it and I'll make my merry way. You don't have to give me stuff I don't need. And this is GW giving you. I know they're doing expansions. Blood Bowl is not 40k. You don't need a FOMO box.
I suppose the only kind of shining light in my mind out of these different game styles is sevens.
Yeah. Sevens agree with Tom.
That was initially aimed for a short, quick game of Blood Bowl. Great fun, but I'm kind of in agreement with you, Scott. Around they are a lot of money. I know, crazy.
You're the man who buys everything.
A lot of money, and B take as long as a full game of Blood Bowl to play, and you've got to remember and learn new rules. And they play in different styles. And it's that whole idea of if you are in a league like we are, and you're trying to balance out different game structures and all that kind of stuff, it's a no-go. And they're also too complicated just to pick up and play on the off chance. I think
you've actually turned me there on the Dungeon Bowl, because I think that what you're right about there is sevens value for money wise. If you get the Death Zone book, which gives you the sevens rules, it's got various other things in it as well. It's got expanded things about mercenaries and other inducements, and it gives you a game that you can play in realistically an hour. Dungeon Bowl should take you an hour, but you've got so much more setup, so much more rules, and it's so much more expensive. So probably I think actually, you've got a point that Dungeon Bowl possibly not worth the money. Gutter Bowl is a bit cheaper and I think has a space, but seven's definitely worth the money.
Yeah.
Tom, if I could, I'm virtually high-fiving you on that one. Fully agree there, mate. There you go.
Okay, so the next, so we're done with those ones. Okay, the next one is probably going to take a little bit quicker. Team pictures. Are they worth it?
Oh.
Are you one of those people who has to buy every piece of kit that goes with your team? So including the team pictures.
Okay, so no, I'm not. But there are some pictures that I think look quite cool and go with kind of. So the Norse pitch and the old ogre pitch, actually, because I think that was similar, go with a lot of my teams are ice hockey themed, and they're kind of snowy or icy pitches. So I don't have it, but I would like one of those pitches because it goes with the aesthetic of my teams, but it doesn't go with the aesthetic of the team that it should do. So my Norse team, not ice hockey themes, on grass turf. My lizard team, my various other teams that I've got, my Chaos Chosen team, all ice hockey themed. My Skaven team, ice hockey themed, would go really well on that pitch. So I don't buy them for the rules. I don't buy them because I want to have everything related to that team. But I would buy one if it looked really cool and went with an aesthetic of a team that I have.
I don't like them. I'm not going to buy them. And the reason I'm not going to buy them is because they're very inconsistent in the quality. Some of them look really, really good and really, really funky. I mean, if you look at the new Gnome one, it looks really good. If you look at the Amazon one, it's quite different. But in terms of in terms of the clarity of some of the pitches, it's really difficult. Even if you look at the basic intro cardboard pitch, if you flip it from the grass, sometimes on the grass, particularly in the center area, squares aren't clearly defined because they have the little dots. And then when you flip it to the gray, okay, it's a bit better, but it's a bit more. And I know you can get better neoprene matches. I think GW are missing out on a big trick in terms of that. I know they did the Forge World, the Gouged Eye when they did a Forge World neoprene match many years ago, and it was a bit hit and miss in terms of if you loved it or not. So in terms of the official GW pitches, the cardboard ones, they could do so much better. I guess I know they're cheap and the margins must be ridiculously huge because what are they, 30 quid?
Yeah.
They're about $29.95.
Yeah, they're different prices actually.
So, the ones you buy from Aardvarks and Dragon in Woodbridge are incredible, and they're always worth a punt. But everywhere else, don't bother. Go online, find a neoprene one. There's obviously various different matte places available. Some better than others.
Also, and Scott, you'll know what I mean by this. I'm temporarily going to be unable to hear you because I've unplugged my headphones. But
don't show us that again.
For the price of those pitches,
what are you with? God, it's like we're watching Dwayne Rock Johnson, isn't it?
And you can make your own with a 2x4 MDF board, which
you can.
Quite cool. So I think that's the downfall to the argument that I gave, which was about the aesthetic of the pitch. Was actually you could probably, if you don't have to put too much money in to save money and make your own.
Yeah. The only pitch I've actually got is the vampire pitch, and it's because
that does look quite cool. That is quite pretty,
and also the squares are easily kind of seen on the screen. The worst I think I've seen is either the Snotling or the Nurgle pitches. They are terrible. When you get to the middle section, you can hardly see where the squares are.
Yeah, some of them are awful. The Amazon one is a bit, because it's got so much jungle detail to it. That's also a little bit difficult to read, and the trapdoors are in the wrong place as well. So it's not ideal.
My last on that topic is we have one of the fellow coaches in the league, Jane, with her Necro Evening. Jane, she went to a tournament in France and she came back with a prize of a new Amazon pitch, even it was in French. It was absolutely stunning. If you get the chance, have a look at it. Jane can send us a link and we'll put it up in chat or post. But I think if you look it's 30 quid for like a GW piece of cardboard that you can flip each side. Yes, if you want to invest in 50, 60 quid, which is only 2 pitches, you can get a really, really good neoprene match, which I think is so much better.
Cool. Okay, so the next one, I think we know one person who has some quite serious views on this, and it is team rosters versus the actual GW packs. So the team roster, it says you need X amount of players, but the packs only supply you with not the entire team.
Yeah, it's as frustrating as the fact that Some do, like I think dark elves do, vampires do, don't they? Even though vampires, you still haven't got your Vargeist. Gnomes are a bit out of there as well, but at least you get your 2 foxes. Yeah, so many of them. I mean, Skaven, it's loads of them. Wood elves as well.
Goblins, you must have to spend an absolute fortune on.
You just get in the goblin box. You just get goblins and a single troll.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. A friend of mine, I was trying to introduce them to Blood Bowl. They thought that the kind of weapons and stuff from goblins sounded like it was good fun, as we know it is. But he was genuinely so disheartened that he built them. And he was like, "Well, I can't play this out of the box. I don't have any of my weapons."
In fact, you don't even get the troll. You literally get a load of linemen.
It's just it's ridiculous because any goblin coach, like we know goblin coaches who do nonsense rosters, and even they take weapons. You can't run goblins out of the box, and it's so frustrating. Like to be fair to GW, all of the new teams that they've released, so gnomes, vampires, Amazons, Norse, the box comes with, other than big guys, everything that you need. But they're also all have been done in a very formulaic way, where you've got big guy, 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this, pretty much. But at least the box comes with everything. And the only thing you need extra, you need the big guy, which you need for every team, and you need the lineman, and that's it. So it is really frustrating when you pick up a Skaven team and you don't have enough gutter runners, or you pick up a human team. I've never seen a human roster that doesn't have 4 blitzers and you only get 2 in the box. It's an absolute joke.
No, I know from if you put your GW, as a company, yes, they've got to make money. They do have to make profit, or technically they don't, but they choose to because they've got shareholders. But yeah, so I can understand some little marketing person once upon a time thought, I know, we'll make them buy 2 boxes instead of 1 to even get a really balanced team if they're playing a league. And they just kept that. So yeah, I'd prefer them to put, this is a starter box like they do. They've got combat patrols in 40k. They have everything for AOS. I mean, Warcry, you can go in, pick up a box, and you can play it then and there. Necromunda, very similar. So come on, GW, why not Blood Bowl? Otherwise, we're all getting STF files and going around Chris's house or Graham's.
The next question is a follow-on for that, and that's Forge World versus Etsy or other third-party ones. And what we're talking about here is probably along the same lines. Most of these teams do not come with a big guy in the box. And the Forge World ones are pretty pricey compared to third-party ones.
So
would you mix and match your teams?
So the Forge World, like the Forge World expansion packs, are not worth the money. So like a human expansion pack, you get 2 blitzers, a thrower, and a catcher. Not worth the money. Firstly, you get enough throwers in the box, so you don't need an expanded thrower. So you're getting 3 players that you actually need in that box, and it doesn't cost much more to buy an entire second box, which is, I know what they want you to do. I know that's the point, but it frustrates me that it works. So it's not worth it at all. The big guys are tricky. I've got 3 Croxagors. I've got a GW Forge World Croxagor. I've got a GW Age of Sigmar Croxagor, and I've got a third-party Resin Croxagor. And I do probably prefer the GW one, but it's comfortably the most expensive out of the 3. And I'm not going to lose out if I play one of the other 2. And actually, to be fair, I got it as a gift. I wouldn't have bought it because I was happy with the other 2 that cost me a lot less money.
So currently looking online, your big guys are ranging from £20 for your classic Ogre and Troll up to £27 for the Croxagor, which is only a couple of quid short of a whole pack.
That's just team, isn't it?
Team, yeah.
It's a bit excessive, isn't it?
It is a bit excessive.
I like GW sculpts, and I think Forge World, on the most part, get the sculpts right. Some of them are hit and miss. You know, some are better than others. However, generally they are of a very good standard. You see some play, and I'm all for if it gets someone into the game and the community of Blood Bowl, great. So I haven't got a problem with Forge World. I think the expansion packs are a bit of a nah. They didn't really follow them up to say, you know, just for example, Skaven, you get 4, you get 1 thrower, 1 other blitzer, and you get 2 gutter runner in slightly different poses. They're all in resin as well, which is a real pain in the ass to build. So if you've ever had a fun night battling with trying to pin models, you know, very fine cast models with resin as well at times, and with you know, a decent super glue to take them, it can be so frustrated. And then to get a decent finish, you need green stuff to model them on top of it as well. You go to Etsy, and if you go to somewhere, Etsy and other marketplaces, other third-party places are available. First of all, you have the sculpts quality is improving. Some of them are fantastic, but you still get a lot which are a bit, oh, come on, guys, really. So I think it's improving. I think it's good for competition as well. So yeah, Forge World is expensive. They are still lovely sculpts to have, but sometimes money being money, and there's a better, more funky sculpture available elsewhere.
Also, you need for a lot of the teams, you want the big guy.
Yeah.
But how many of the big guys are actually available to buy in your friendly local game store? How many of them do they actually give to the stores, and how many?
They're not, are they? Because they're online only as well, so it limits you.
Exactly.
You know, in terms of
ogres, you can get trees, you can get trolls, you can get. I think that's pretty much it.
There's quite a few on here that don't state that they're online only. So like Krieg, well, he's a
star players. So other than Grim,
like the Rat Ogre is not saying it's online only.
Or the other way, just go on Forge World.
Yeah,
I don't know, Forge World. Go on eBay, buy some secondhand if you like to. Yeah, they're always.
I think because you can get. The thing that bugs me about Forge World is that you can get everything that most of the time you can go into your friendly local game shop, which it is the friendly local game shops that hold up a lot of this stuff, and you can go in there and you can request. If they don't have it in, you can normally request it, they'll order it in, and pretty much everything they can get. And then as soon as you want a more detailed star player or one of the big guys for one of the less common teams, you immediately are then having to go straight to GW, and it's straight into their pocket, and it's just a bit of a middle finger to the friendly local game shops, and I don't like it.
Okay, so carrying on, we're going to move more into the paper-based side of the game, and we're talking. There's 2 parts to this one. So there's the tournament match play guide that came out, and Spike magazines and almanacs.
So the match play guide, I wouldn't expect anybody to buy that unless you were a TO or planning to run tournaments. You don't need it unless that's going to be the case. The match play rules I really like. They're very basic. They're very easy to understand. Tour play immediately accommodate them with just a tick of a button. So it's very little effort there. And they're very basic, very easy rules for tournament play. So I think the match play guide is worth the money if you're going to run a tournament. If you're not going to run a tournament, you do not need to bother. It's very niche. Very niche.
I find that the other one is the Spike magazines. It's very frustrating because I've been out, got the latest team, you buy the Spike magazine, and then obviously they put them into all condensed into that lovely book, and then you have to buy that as well.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, now I've got multiple things here on that side of things.
But you are that's why, Tom, you are number 1 for Games Workshop customers. They love you. They absolutely,
Gotta get it all. Yeah, exactly.
It's that you are the ultimate FOMO buyer. Quick.
Yeah.
How many Spike magazines have you 2 bought?
2. I've got Vampires and Gnomes.
Yeah,
I've just got the Gnome one.
I got 2 as well. So I got Vampires and Amazons.
I only bought the Gnome one because it has the stat page for Acorn, and that's it.
Okay.
I don't think they're worth it. I would rather wait for an almanac. I'm dying. I want the next almanac because that's going to be vampires and gnomes,
And
including.
it's gonna make my OCD twitch because it's not gonna be 2023, is it? It's
No,
it's gonna be
2024
2024
at least, or maybe maybe even 2025. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. Anyway, so we're down to the last two before what I believe is the most pointless piece in Blood Bowl.
Okay.
So the next one on the list is dice.
I have to admit to all of our listeners and viewers, Tom, and to all our brethren, and I just fall on my knees and I confess I'm a whore for dice. I love dice. I love a good set of dice. Even the gnome dice that look like a GCSE biology workbook. If you turn it upside down, you'll know what I mean. It's just dice are cool. Dice are really, really good. So all the GW dice I think are very good. I think you can get other dice out there, but I think some of the dice that you do see being played, you've got to sort of squint at to say, is that a stumble? Is that a pow? Is that a block? What am I looking at there? Because they're very vague. They're very, not great.
Yeah. Even some of the GW dice are like that. So,
what
for
you
example, my Amazon dice.
Oh, the Amazons are awful.
Terrible. So it's like a lime green and then gold inserts on it, and it just blends too well together.
The ogres aren't great either. The ogres are like red and grey marble, and then grey pips to them or grey markings to them. So every now and again, depending on how the marble is sat, it can be a bit difficult to read. So yeah, they're equally as bad. So I don't know. I'm torn with dice. I don't need to have the dice for my team. There's not many dice I've got for that. I mean, I've got ogre dice, but I don't use them for my ogre team because my ogre team are a color that my orange Dungeon Bowl dice fit nicer. I don't have lizard dice. I use my purple Dungeon Bowl dice because the color matches. So I want the color to match rather than necessarily, because I don't think I've got any team where I've painted them in the style that GW expect you to, and therefore the color of the dice. So that's more of an importance for me than actually whether I've got the right dice matching the right team.
My annoyance with dice is that for whatever reason, all the dice I buy just roll ones. That's my problem.
You do have a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
When it comes to dice rolling.
Do you practice that a lot, Tom?
Just rolling dice, and then I just roll and go, oh, that's another 6 gone. That won't be ever used in a game. There's another one gone, and then I just bring all the ones to the games. Yeah.
I imagine that Tom has a dice tower and a dice tower and a slow motion camera, and he watches how the dice bounces and rolls to make sure that he can drop it every time exactly the same to keep his one record going.
So I got a whole load of dice, I've done them, and I've actually got 5, 5, 4, 1, 3. That is the highest I've rolled this season.
And that's your dice rolls burnt for next season too.
Yeah. There goes that. So if anyone's playing me in the next tournaments, well done. Congratulations, you've won. Anyway, moving on to the last one. And I think this one probably is going to be up there as the biggest waste of money, I personally think. And that's the team special playing cards. So these are the cards, a bit like a kind of pack of playing cards, which has all your team on them. Do you have any? Does anyone have any?
I've got one.
Okay.
I don't have any, but I know people in our league who do, and they like them. So I think they are useful for beginners. I think they have a place. Not a big fan personally, but if it helps someone, fine. But you've got to recognize it does take a little while. It does add a little bit more time to your game, so be patient. But we were all new coaches once.
I've never used these special play cards. I don't think I ever will. I think they're there's a bit too kind of chaos related to them, I think. And there does need to be kind of some element of control.
Yeah.
I really like you said, Scott, for beginners, just the cards that give you like all the details on the like vanilla positionals within the team. I think that's a really good thing for beginner players. If they stopped doing them and never did them again, I wouldn't miss them. Would you be happy for the price of a team to go up? And if so, by how much? If they included just the card that covered every positional available to that team.
Well,
So if you bought a Skaven team, for example, and your Skaven box came with a lineman, a blitzer, a gutter runner, a thrower, and a rat ogre card in the box, but the team costs a little bit more, and then they binned the special play cards, would you be happy with that?
I would be. I think that gives a better, more. It gives a better starter kit in terms of buying into it as well. And I know what you'll say. Well, if you need 2 Skaven boxes to get a Skaven team, you're going to get stuck with 2 sets of cards. And yeah, okay.
But the fact is, you do get that, but it's on the back of the pamphlet.
It's on that little bit of paper, isn't it? It's like
But equally, without looking on Games Workshop, how much do you reckon the, for example, the Gnome team card pack is?
Oh, I hate to think now.
18 quid.
15?
£20.
Jeez, that's.
So there you go.
I have never played a game where anyone has said to me, "Hey, why don't we use the special play cards?" Because you can only use them if you've got them.
Yeah.
So they're an inducement that is purely, you can use this inducement if you have real world money to buy the cards. It's nonsense. I'm not.
Isn't that why the good Lord invented smartphones anyway? So why do you need to?
Exactly. And funny enough, you say that for £20 you can get an e-version of the complete official rules, which will have most of the teams in it anyway.
Why do you want to spend 20 quid on it? Just go on some of the other websites. There's lots of websites available for the rules. It's you know.
I know, but it's that kind of thing.
Head down for the rule book to your friendly local game shop where you can then buy the rule book from them.
On the positive, if you think how little, and you mentioned the cards, one of the reasons that puts me off cards as well is when they launched 10th edition 40k. Oh, here we go, therapy time for Scott. That was just too painful, and they had been coming to the end of the 9th edition, which had been a really good edition, 8th onto 9th of 40k, and they said, oh, it's all going to be great, and 10th edition, we're going to simplify it. It was one of the big strands of the new 10th. We're going to simplify it, make it nice and easier. And if you look at it now, chasing the meta, ruining some of the things that they built up over many years again, and myself included, a lot of people are just saying, yeah, okay, I'll just wait till they come out with 11th in 18 months. You look at Blood Bowl, you need, basically you spend 110 quid on the starter box, which has the book in it, and boom, you're ready to go.
2 teams, yeah.
You're ready to go, 2 full teams, 2 everything that you want. Okay. We all talk about, there's no star players. We all talk about those other teams that are not in the current meta.
You get Virag and you get Griff in the starter box.
Even better then, and you can compared to 40k, compared to AOS, you can get a great game and a great community out of Blood Bowl for relatively less. That's the one thing I've taken out of my journey, my Blood Bowl journey.
So to recap, and I want one answer from both of you as to the biggest waste of money in Blood Bowl. Is it the different subsequent games, the team pictures, the team rosters and box mismatch, Forge World versus Etsy, the tour match play guide, Spike magazines, dice, or the special player cards? Chris, which one do you think is the biggest waste of money?
You did bring me round to how much Dungeon Bowl is and what you actually get out of it and how much it's actually played. But I think the biggest waste of money is the match play cards. Special play cards. Sorry, special play cards.
I just think for me, Bowl and Dungeon Bowl. I just think as expansions for 110 quid on each, you know, it's just not worth it. I'm not a big fan again of the cards, but
and I'm going with the team special playing cards as well. I've never seen them used. I've only ever seen the team player cards used twice, and one of them I wasn't even playing that person. They just had them there. So that's my things.
I don't think I've ever been in a tournament where they've actually been allowed, or a league where they've been allowed.
Yeah. So my bonus of not the biggest waste of money, but the most pointless piece in Blood Bowl is the Blood Bowl balls that come in the packs. Never seen anyone use them in a game.
I don't know. I don't get why Games Workshop haven't released their own clear kind of ball token big thing that you stick your model into. Why have they not? Everyone uses them. No one uses the little waste of plastic ball, other than you might use them to kit bash something, but otherwise, what's the point? Absolutely, why don't they just do a GW nice Blood Bowl sculpt Blood Bowl ball token that is clear? It would be so much more sense. You don't need to do one per, just sell it. You've triggered me, Tom.
Do you know what, Chris? Even if they did one generic one, then one per race, and then if they did it for one for big guy, you know, whatever they did it for, people would buy them. They're relatively cheap in terms of plastics. You got the overhead, the tooling, etc., etc. But yeah, if you are listening, GW marketeers for Blood Bowl, we know you don't have a lot, probably in terms of your budget compared to the other games the game systems GW do. You've done some great things in the last 12 months. You know, you've done gnomes no one was expecting, even though you need to give them a bit more TLC and a bit more maybe play testing next time. You also need to, you've given us vampires as well, so thank you to that. If you give us Tomb Kings, if you give us Chaos Dwarves, if you give us High Elves, and don't give them Cloudburster, but if you give us all that good stuff, then yeah, we will continue to spend lots more money with you.
I've 3D printed so many 40mm ball tokens that have different sized rings in levels, so that you can fit a 25mm, a 32mm, and a 40mm base on there, and it sits in nicely, and it's so easy to do. Why they don't do it, I don't understand. Actually, I don't know whether actually the third party competition is so great that they don't think there's any point, but it's so much better than their crappy little lumps of anyway.
Good one to end on, Mr.
Yes,
Hobble. Good one
very
to
good
end
one to end on. I mean, you know, we've never given quite such good consumer advice on this podcast. We may never give quite such good consumer advice again. Who knows? If you think that there's something that we've missed that is even more of a waste of money, or if you think we're wrong and one of these things is actually worth it, maybe you've actually played special play cards and you think they're the best thing about the game. Maybe you are a diehard Dungeon Bowl fan and you play weekly and prefer it to the main game. Whatever your opinions, if you want to get in touch, Scott, how do people get in touch with us?
If they do want to get in touch to share with us their procrastinations, their comments, their witty anecdotes, whatever they want to share with us there, Chris, they can get hold of us at the email newdiceplease@gmail.com. That's all one word, all lowercase, newdiceplease@gmail.com. And yes, that is an email that works whether you are in the UK, whether you are anywhere in Europe or this glorious planet of ours. So a good evening and shout out to everybody, all our international listeners, whether you are Dazzler in Corby, whether you are Mr. Lord Pat of Van der East, good evening, sir, in Canada, and whether whoever you are, even if you're Chris Coe's mother-in-law, good evening, welcome.
She's absolutely not listening.
Maybe one day.
One day. Tom, hey, if people like what we do here, where can they catch all of our other nonsense?
Absolutely. So obviously you've caught us here on Blood Bowl Live channel at YouTube, where you can obviously equally put your comments down. We also have a league where we play under the Blood Bowl live channel on Twitch as well. And we sometimes post on other socials, Instagram.
Yes, we did within recent memory do an Instagram post. Maybe there'll be more. Well, not that recent, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. We'll see. We might do another one. Who knows? Miracles can happen. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us this week. We have been New Dice Please, and we will see you next time.